Hey everyone and welcome. I'm really excited to dive into today's topic because it's something we all experience and it hits deep. Ever had that moment? That gut-wrenching feeling when someone walks out of your life? Maybe it's a relationship that ends, a friend who moves away, or a job that comes to a close. Whatever the case, it's like a punch to the stomach. And the worst part? It's not just the loss. It's what they expect you to do next. They expect you to crumble, right? To fall apart, maybe even beg them to stay. Sometimes it feels like they might even want to see you shattered. It's like they've got this script in their head of how you're supposed to react, and let's be honest, it's usually a starring role in a drama we don't want any part of. But what if I told you there's another way? A way to not only survive this, but to come out stronger, more in control of yourself than ever before? That's where Stoicism comes in. This isn't just some ancient philosophy, it's a practical toolkit for life, especially for moments like these. Stoicism offers a path to handling these situations with dignity, grace, and a sense of inner peace that might seem impossible right now. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have a whole new perspective, a Stoic perspective on how to deal with these moments. You'll learn how to stand tall when everything inside you wants to break down. You are going to take that script they've written for you and tear it to shreds. Instead of giving them the satisfaction of seeing you fall apart, you're going to show them, and more importantly yourself, that you are unbreakable. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to mention that this channel is dedicated to exploring Stoicism and how we can apply its wisdom to our daily lives. If you are interested in learning more about Stoicism, please subscribe and like it. So, if you're ready to take control of your reactions, to find strength in adversity, and to live a more resilient life, hit that subscribe button and make sure to like this video. It really helps the channel out. Let's dive in because your journey to becoming unbreakable starts now. We are going to flip the script. Instead of meeting their expectations, we're going to shatter them. And in doing so, we're going to reclaim our power. So why do they expect that meltdown? Why is it that when someone leaves, they have this preconceived notion that you're going to fall apart? It's a fascinating bit of psychology, really. Often, it comes down to ego. Yeah, that's right, their ego. When someone makes the decision to walk away, they might need to justify that decision to themselves. And one way to do that is to see you struggling without them. It's like it validates their choice, makes them feel like they were the crucial piece holding your life together. Sometimes it's about a sense of power too. If they can predict your emotional collapse, it gives them a feeling of control, even as they're relinquishing control by leaving. It's twisted, but it happens. And sometimes it's not even malicious. They might genuinely believe, based on past experiences or their own insecurities, that you can't handle it without them. They've cast you in this role of the dependent one, and they fully expect you to play the part. I remember when a close friend of mine decided to move across the country for a job opportunity. We had been inseparable for years, and honestly, I was devastated. But I also knew that his decision was based on a mix of excitement for the new opportunity and a need to prove something to himself. In the weeks leading up to his departure, I could sense a subtle expectation from him, almost a hope that I would be an emotional wreck, maybe even try to convince him to stay. It was as if my breakdown would somehow validate his importance in my life and ease any guilt he might have been feeling about leaving. It's like, in his mind, if I fell apart, it would confirm that he was making the right choice because, obviously, I needed him more than he needed me. It is messed up. Now, here's the trap. When you react exactly the way they expect, you're playing right into their hands. You're reinforcing their narrative, confirming their beliefs about you and about themselves. And what does that get you? A whole lot of pain, a loss of self-respect, and a serious roadblock on your path to personal growth. You're essentially giving away your power, letting them dictate your emotional state. But Stoicism teaches us that our reactions are within our control. We don't have to be puppets on a string, dancing to whatever tune they play. This is where it gets really interesting. Imagine their surprise when, instead of falling apart, you stand tall. You show them that you're not defined by their presence or absence, that your happiness and stability don't hinge on them. That's the power of subverting expectations. You're not just defying them, you're reclaiming your own narrative, your own sense of self. And this is where the Stoic concept of focusing on what you can control comes into play. You can't control their choices, their actions, or their reasons for leaving. But you can control your own thoughts, your own actions, and your responses. Think about a time you were in a similar situation when someone left, and you felt that expectation hanging over you. How did you react? Did you meet their expectations or did you surprise them? And more importantly, how could you have responded differently with a Stoic mindset? How could you have focused on your inner strength instead of your external loss? It's about recognizing that your worth is not tied to their presence in your life. It's a tough lesson, but a crucial one, and it sets the stage for some powerful Stoic principles that can help us navigate these difficult moments with grace and resilience. All right, let's dive into the bedrock of Stoic philosophy, the principles that will give you the inner strength to stand tall even when your world feels like it's crumbling. The first one is the dichotomy of control. This is the core idea in Stoicism, and it's a game changer. It basically means that you need to separate things into two categories: what you can control and what you can't. It sounds simple, but it's profound. You see, most of our suffering comes from trying to control things that are fundamentally outside our control. Other people's opinions, external events, and yes, other people's decisions to leave. The Stoics, like Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, argued that the only things truly within our control are our own judgments, our own actions, our own will. When someone leaves, that's outside your control. But how you react, the meaning you assign to it, that's entirely up to you. Applying this to our situation, it means recognizing that the other person's decision to leave is not something you can control. It's their choice, driven by their own reasons and circumstances. What you can control is how you respond. You can choose not to fall into the trap of desperation or self-pity. You can choose to focus on your own actions, on living virtuously, on building a life that's fulfilling regardless of their presence. This is the path to real freedom. Let's take a relatable example. Imagine you're stuck in a horrendous traffic jam. Horns are blaring, everyone's frustrated, and you're late for an important meeting. You can't control the traffic, the other drivers, or the fact that you're late. Getting angry, yelling, or constantly checking the clock only adds to your stress. But you can control your reaction. You can choose to take a deep breath, listen to some calming music, or use the time to mentally prepare for your meeting. You might even call ahead and explain the situation, taking responsibility for what you can influence. See the difference? You turn a frustrating situation into an opportunity to practice patience and problem solving. Think about another example, with a coworker. This person is constantly negative, always complaining, and seems to enjoy bringing everyone else down. You can't control their negativity or their behavior, but you can control how you interact with them. You can choose to limit your interactions, to steer conversations towards more positive topics, or to simply not let their negativity affect your own mood. You can even practice empathy, recognizing that their negativity might stem from their own insecurities or struggles. This distinction between inner and external is crucial. Our inner world, our thoughts, judgments, and actions, is our domain. It's where our power lies. External events, other people's opinions, and the circumstances of life are outside that domain. They're not within our control, and trying to force them to be is a recipe for suffering. I once read a story about a woman who was going through a very public and messy divorce. Her husband had left her for someone else, and the whole situation was splashed across the local newspapers. Naturally, she was devastated, heartbroken, and humiliated. But instead of getting consumed by anger and bitterness, she decided to focus on what she could control. She couldn't control her husband's actions or what the newspapers wrote about her, but she could control her own actions and her own narrative. She started focusing on her children, on providing them with a stable and loving environment. She threw herself into her work, earning a promotion within a year, and she started volunteering at a local women's shelter, helping other women who were going through similar experiences. She took control of her life, her actions, and her purpose. She redefined her identity not as a victim of a failed marriage, but as a strong, resilient woman who was thriving despite adversity. She turned her pain into a powerful force for good, both for herself and for others. She embraced her situation and found a way to grow and improve. So, here's a little exercise you can try. Throughout your day, pay attention to the things that cause you stress or frustration. Ask yourself, is this within my control or outside my control? If it's outside your control, consciously choose to let go of your anxiety about it. Acknowledge it, accept it, and shift your focus to what you can influence. If it's within your control, take action. Do something about it, even if it's just a small step. This simple practice, done consistently, can dramatically change your perspective and reduce your stress levels. It's about training your mind to focus on your sphere of influence, on what you can truly impact. Another powerful Stoic principle is amor fati, which is Latin for love of fate. This might sound a bit counterintuitive at first, especially when we're talking about painful experiences. But amor fati isn't about being passive or resigning yourself to whatever happens. It's about actively embracing everything that happens, seeing it as necessary and part of the larger picture, even the difficult stuff. It's about finding the good in every situation, even when it's hard to see. When someone leaves, amor fati means accepting that it happened, not with bitterness or regret, but with the understanding that it's part of your journey. It's an opportunity for growth, for learning, for becoming stronger. This mindset helps you move forward, to see the bigger picture instead of getting trapped in resentment or regret. Then there's memento mori, which translates to remember death. I know, it sounds a little morbid, but it's incredibly powerful. Contemplating your own mortality puts everything into perspective. It's a reminder that life is fleeting, that time is precious. When you remember that you and everyone around you will eventually die, you're less likely to get bogged down in temporary setbacks, in the drama of someone leaving. Their departure becomes a reminder of the impermanence of all things, including relationships. It encourages you to focus on what truly matters, living a virtuous life, making the most of the time you have, appreciating the people who are still here. And finally, the Stoics believed that virtue is the only true good. The four cardinal virtues in Stoicism are wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Living virtuously means striving to embody these qualities in everything you do, regardless of external circumstances. It's about acting with wisdom and reason, treating others with fairness and justice, facing challenges with courage, and maintaining self-control in the face of strong emotions. When someone leaves, your character is what remains. It's what you carry with you. Focusing on cultivating virtue gives your life meaning and purpose regardless of who comes and goes. It's about being the best version of yourself no matter what. These principles, the dichotomy of control, amor fati, memento mori, and virtue as the only good, they're not just abstract ideas. They're practical tools you can use to navigate life's challenges, especially when someone you care about leaves. They're your armor against the storms of life. So I encourage you, write these principles down, internalize them, reflect on how you can apply them to your own life, to your own experiences. They're the key to unlocking a more resilient, more fulfilling life. A life where you're not tossed around by the whims of others, but anchored by your own inner strength. Now, let's talk about how amor fati can help us reframe difficult situations. Imagine you've lost your job, a job you thought was secure and maybe even defined you. It's easy to fall into despair, to feel like a failure, to see it as a purely negative event. But amor fati invites you to look at it differently. This unexpected turn of events, as challenging as it is, could be an opportunity in disguise. Maybe it's a chance to finally pursue that career you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's a chance to learn new skills, to start your own business, or to take some time off to reflect on what you truly want. It's a chance to redefine yourself, not as someone who lost a job, but as someone who is resourceful, adaptable, and open to new possibilities. I remember a friend who went through a particularly rough breakup. She had been with her partner for many years, and they had built a life together. When the relationship ended, she was devastated. It felt like her whole world had collapsed. But she was also a student of Stoicism, and she tried to apply the principle of amor fati to her situation. She realized that while she couldn't change the fact that the relationship was over, she could embrace the new reality. She could see it as a chance to focus on herself, to rediscover her own passions and to build a new life for herself, a life that was even more fulfilling than the one she had before. It wasn't easy. There were tears, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But slowly, but surely she started to heal. She took up new hobbies, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating again. She embraced the change, as difficult as it was, and she came out stronger and happier on the other side. Her life took a new, exciting direction that wouldn't have been possible if she had stayed in the relationship. She didn't just survive the breakup, she thrived because of it. She loved her fate, the good and the bad. This is what amor fati can do. Now let's talk about some practical exercises, things you can actually do to build the resilience we've been discussing, to really internalize these Stoic principles and make them a part of your daily life. 1. Of the most powerful techniques is called negative visualization. This isn't about being pessimistic or expecting the worst. It's about mentally preparing for potential losses or setbacks. The Stoics practiced this regularly. They would contemplate the loss of their possessions, their loved ones, even their own lives. It sounds a bit grim, but it's incredibly effective. By visualizing these scenarios, you're essentially reducing the shock and strengthening your resolve if those things actually happen. It's like a mental rehearsal for dealing with adversity. Try this. Spend a few minutes each day imagining a situation where someone you care about leaves. Visualize the emotions you might feel, the challenges you might face. But most importantly, visualize yourself responding in a Stoic way, with acceptance, with dignity, with a focus on what you can control. This practice helps you build resilience, so you're not caught off guard when life throws you curveballs. Another powerful tool is journaling. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can be incredibly therapeutic, especially during difficult times. It's a way to process your emotions, to identify negative thought patterns, and to track your progress. Get yourself a journal and use it regularly. Use these prompts to get started. What am I feeling right now? What's within my control in this situation? How can I act virtuously despite this pain? How would a Stoic philosopher respond to this situation? What can I learn from this experience? Write down your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Just let them flow onto the page. Over time, you'll start to see patterns in your thinking, and you can use that awareness to challenge negative thoughts and reinforce positive ones. Mindfulness and meditation are also key practices in Stoicism. These techniques help you stay present, to observe your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. When you're mindful, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by a wave of negative emotions when someone leaves. You can practice mindfulness throughout the day simply by paying attention to your breath, to your senses, to the present moment. Even just for 5 or 10 minutes each day, find a quiet space, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to your breath. You can also try a guided meditation. There are many great apps and online resources that offer guided meditations specifically designed for Stoic practice. Another powerful technique is cognitive reframing. This is about challenging and changing your negative thoughts into more positive or neutral ones. When someone leaves, it's easy to fall into a spiral of negative thinking. Thoughts like, I can't live without them, or I'll never be happy again, or it's all my fault. These thoughts are often distorted and unhelpful. Cognitive reframing is a way to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Is there another way of looking at this situation? What would a more objective observer say? For example, instead of thinking, I can't live without them, you could reframe it as, this is an opportunity for me to grow stronger and more independent. Instead of, I'll never be happy again, try, this is painful, but I'm resilient, and I can find happiness again. You're not denying the pain or pretending it's not there. You're simply choosing to focus on a more empowering perspective. And finally, One of the most effective ways to build resilience and find meaning is through acts of service and kindness. Shifting your focus outward, helping others, can be incredibly healing. When you're focused on someone else's needs, you're less likely to be consumed by your own pain. It could be something as simple as volunteering your time, donating to a cause you care about, or simply offering a listening ear to a friend in need. These actions not only benefit others but also reinforce your own sense of purpose and connection. Now, which of these exercises resonates most with you? I encourage you to commit to practicing at least one of them, starting today. Make it a daily habit like brushing your teeth. It doesn't have to be a huge time commitment. Even just a few minutes each day can make a big difference. Remember, building resilience is a process. It takes time and effort. But with consistent practice, you can develop the inner strength to handle whatever life throws your way, including the pain of someone leaving. These tools will help you not only survive, but thrive. Alright, so we've talked about understanding their expectations, the core Stoic principles, and some practical exercises to build resilience. Now let's talk about what happens after they're gone. How do you not just survive, but actually thrive? How do you rise above the pain and create a life that's even better than before? This is where it gets really exciting. The first thing is to redefine your identity. See, when someone significant leaves your life, especially if it's a long-term relationship or a close friendship, it can feel like you've lost a part of yourself. You might have defined yourself in relation to them, as a partner, a best friend, a confidant. But their departure creates a space, an opportunity to rediscover who you are outside of that relationship. It's a chance to explore your own interests, your own values, your own goals, independent of anyone else. Maybe there were things you always wanted to try but never did because you were too busy. Or maybe you compromised your own desires to accommodate the other person. Now is the time to revisit those things. Take that class. Start that hobby. Pursue the dream you put on hold. This is your chance to create a life that's authentically yours. This is your moment to become who you truly are. Another crucial aspect of thriving is embracing solitude. Now, solitude is different from loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of sadness and isolation. Solitude, on the other hand, is the state of being alone without necessarily being lonely. And it can be incredibly powerful. It's an opportunity to connect with yourself on a deeper level, to reflect on your experiences, to understand your own thoughts and emotions without external distractions. Spending time alone can foster self-reflection, creativity, and a sense of inner peace. Use this time to journal, meditate, read, or simply enjoy your own company. Learn to be comfortable with silence, with your own thoughts. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to having someone around all the time. But over time, you'll find that solitude can be a source of strength and self-discovery. You can take walks in nature, listen to music that resonates with you, or simply sit in quiet contemplation. The key is to create a space where you can connect with your inner self without the distractions of modern life. Of course, while embracing solitude is important, that doesn't mean isolating yourself completely. Humans are social beings, and we need connection. So it's equally important to build a strong support network. Reach out to friends, family members, or a therapist. Don't be afraid to ask for help or simply share what you're going through. But be intentional about who you surround yourself with. Choose people who are supportive, who encourage your growth, who lift you up rather than bring you down. This might mean distancing yourself from people who are negative or who try to keep you stuck in the past. It's okay to set boundaries and protect your energy. Another key to thriving is setting new goals. When someone leaves, it can feel like your life is on hold, like you're stuck in a state of limbo. Having something to strive for gives your life direction and purpose. It helps you move forward, to focus on the future instead of dwelling on the past. These goals can be anything that's meaningful to you: personal, professional, creative, spiritual. Maybe you want to learn a new language, run a marathon, start your own business, or simply become more mindful in your daily life. The important thing is that these goals are aligned with your values and aspirations. They should be things that excite you, that challenge you, that help you grow. This is your chance to create the life you want on your own terms. Write down your goals, break them down into smaller, manageable steps, and track your progress. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. This will give you a sense of accomplishment and momentum, helping you move forward with confidence.